So if you could hit the start streaming button and go okay, because it wants to double check. And then just go down the bottom and pop up. And just bring your mouse right down the bottom so it pops up the right down low. Pop up Zoom. And we want to go to this application. Good morning, South Australians in the room and people whomever they are, wherever they are from everywhere else. You're at the South Australian, Northern Territory and the Tasmanian, I'm not going to call them the Santas, Professional Photography Awards. And you're going to be hearing and seeing the newborn category judged. The newborn category is sponsored by KL, which is just a wonderful company supplying photographic equipment. They're based in New South Wales and they have a Victorian office, but they have a great website. It's where we buy our ISO monitors from here in South Australia. So now I'd like to introduce the judging panel. Our starting lineup in position 1 is Simone Hankel. Position 2, we have Tony Hewitt. We have Victoria Barrick-Mary in position 3, David Haddy in position 4, and Karen Lynch in position 5. Who might appear on the screen somewhere as Karen Pfeiffer, just in case you're confused with your Pfeiffers and your Lynches. The AIPP hasn't worked it out yet, but they'll get there. All right, newborn category. The newborn category embraces imagery of infants up to 3 months in age. The judges are asked to award excellence in lighting, posing, composition, and camera technique, as well as creativity and imagination. Newborn is defined as an infant up to 3 months of age, calculated from the date of delivery in full term, 37 to 42 weeks, or the due date if premature. Entries into this category must be commissioned by the families of the newborn depicted in the entry. Images of the immediate family members cannot be entered. Elements within the entry must be captured within 24 months of the award's closing date. The image may contain other people, including family members, pets or animals, so long as a newborn is one of the main points of focus and that the image was taken during a newborn session. That covers the rules.
Just to clarify, that the images of, when it says images of the immediate family, it just says you can't enter images of your immediate family, but the image can contain members of the immediate family of the infant.
Yes, that's correct. It is a bit confusing the way it's written here. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, the photographer can't enter photos of their immediate family.
That's right. So it's got to be, the focus has got to be the newborn, and if it has some ancillary folks in it, that's tickety-boo. But we want to see the focus being on the baby. This is one of those categories that have had quite a bit of rewriting in recent years, and it's one of those things, it's a constant process with the AIPP. The judges in front of the prints, though, are judging work that has been validated by a system before they get here. So they're not here to challenge what they see as far as the rules go. They're just looking at the image on the face of it as they see it. So sometimes that introduces some questions in judges' minds, and they just need to kind of accept the fact that someone has looked at this, and then if it does need questioning, it can be re-looked at later on, but typically things just go through and judged as they are. Is that good? Excellent. How are we doing in the back of house? Is everybody ready? All right. Well, there's some new faces out there. We'll introduce you to them in a minute once they get them written down. I'll get you to do that in a sec. And I would like to ask for, there's a thumb coming out from the back. I'd like to ask for the first print, please. Our back of house people, we've got Daniel, Diana and Helen. How fantastic of them to give their time up. Thank you. And the thumb comes out again. Oh, they're doing a lap. Oh gosh, this is getting exciting. So we have a majority score of 79. I would like, please, could Victoria say a word for this entrant?
Just do my lolly here. Beautiful lighting, posing, attention to detail there with the pose is gorgeous. I think we probably need a bit more to the story to elevate it into that award range, but it's solid, professional practice. Lovely work.
Excellent, thank you. And I'll just explain too, that scored a 79 by majority. That's different from the average of 80. The reason why we have the majority rule is because it's 3 of the judges saw that print being in the high 70s category, even though there was judges that pushed it higher than that. Now, that's important because a judge might feel like throwing the score around by putting extremely high, extremely low scores into effect. So majority helps resolve that issue. So can we have our next print, please? Fantastic, a 72, 82, a silver. Sorry. Oh, congratulations, that's lovely to see. Can I have, yes, Simone's putting her hand up for a comment.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Congratulations to the photographer. And I think the only thing I would perhaps try to work on to take it to APA is the highlights on the babies' faces. I think they're just a little strong. So perhaps take them down a bit and see how it looks.
Great constructive comment. Thank you, Simone. Can we have our next print, please? Sorry? Okay. So Dean, can you stand in, please? So this print scores 76. Tony, do you have a comment for... I'm sorry, do you want to pass it on? Nom, 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 nom.
I put it in the middle of professional practice. Excuse me, I've got a mouthful. I love the idea. It's a good concept, and I can applaud the sentiment, but be careful that the things like the hat don't dominate the image. And the outside of it's probably a little simple and too simple because of the dominance of that hat. We need to sort of balance it out.
Thanks, Tony. Sorry, I wasn't watching your face or anyone's faces. I was looking at the numbers. We try to get a score from someone who scored at the lower end of the score range, not to pick on that judge, but because we're trying to give constructive criticism. So thank you for that.
You can pick on that.
Taking a dive. Next print, please. Karen, I'll leave you out. No, I'll leave you and Dean for a little bit longer. Thank you. This print scores a 77. I'd like David to put a comment on this one.
It's a lovely image of a little one. I think to bring this sort of image up The skin is quite sharp, slightly even, perhaps even over sharp, but the very small focus range means that we've just got the cheek and the first, her left eye. It would be nice to follow through to the nose and this just to even out this sort of feel. Perhaps just not quite such a high contrast range as well.
Thank you, David. Before we go to the next print, Tony, I'm sorry, you're now drinking, but you're needed in the PPY area very quickly. It's like a back and forward type of a thing, apparently. I'm going to ask George, because he's popped his head in, to take Tony's spot. We welcome George from the Northern Territory. Okay, next print, please. Thanks, Tony, sorry. Feels a bit like musical judges today, but it's like that, especially getting towards the end of the awards where certain judges get pulled out to choose overall category winners. This print scores a 79, high professional practice. I think we should hear from Simone. What do you think, Simone, this photographer could do?
I'm enjoying the colours, the palette and the composition. I think they work really beautifully. But the lighting I felt was a little bit all over the place. The lighting on the baby is sort of harsh in spots and dark in spots, and then there's some vignetting around the bottom left that is too heavy. So I think it may be a case of going back and reworking the file, but it might be, go and reshoot something in a similar fashion with different lighting.
Thank you, Simone. Next print, please. I want to also thank Epson, our sponsors of the State Awards. They sponsor all the State Awards, and Bruce is here from Epson. I would encourage you to go and shake his hand and say thank you for being a sponsor. He can talk to you about all your printing requirements. He's a great guy, that Bruce. Some strong scoring. We've got an 83, a silver. George, have you got a comment, please, for this photographer?
Yeah, I love the soft lighting used and the concept of this image. I think there was just a bit of tension in the baby's face, so that kept me down to, but still a solid silver.
Thank you, George. Can we have our next print, please? Okay, this print scores 79, high professional practice. Well done. Victoria, can you have a comment for the photographer?
Yeah, it's a cool moment. and I've taken something very similar a few times myself. I can just see in the print, though, there's some banding in the whites, which is drawing my attention away from the cool expression.
Well seen. Thank you so much. Next print, please. Big thanks to Marden Senior College and Malcolm from Marden, who's provided this venue. Remarkable to get this sort of a place free of charge with all the love and support he gives the AIPP. So thank you, Malcolm and Marden. Yay. We also have Marden students around today, so if you see one, hug a student, or maybe not. Maybe. Inappropriate, isn't it? Don't touch a child? Thanks, Kate. I'm glad we're in the newborn category and there's people here who can advise me better. Smile at a student. How about that? Can we smile? Smiling. Roger. I think you can hug Bruce, though, from Epson. Okay. He's a football person, isn't he? This print scores an 82 as a silver award. Congratulations. Can I please ask David to make a comment? Oh, sorry, Dean, were you wanting to make another comment? Oh. David, give it to Dean. Make him happy.
I'm feeling mean. I'm taking it away from him. It's a lovely story, lovely image. Congratulations to the photographer. When going really close to the print, it seems like there was slight over-sharpening lines just around the very edges of the young child, and those little tiny things can just, when we're looking at professional prints in an award, those sorts of things need to just be looked at very carefully. Sometimes they just detract that tiny little bit when we're looking at something very, very closely. But it's a beautiful story, and well done.
Thank you, David. David, whilst you're saying such great comments, can I ask you to swap out for...
You really
Karen,
don't like me, do
we'll
you?
give Karen another go, please. And there's nothing against you in your comments. I'm sure Dean will be happier, though. Next print, please. Some red hot scoring today with a silver distinction on 85. Congratulations. Simone's looking that she wants to make a...
Thing. This is fantastic, and this is one where I wrestled about taking it to gold. I probably would have if the tones in the baby were just down a little. It's just a little bit bright, but the narrative and the work gone into it, and the pose in the baby, and that little frown that sort of lends itself to this sort of question mark surrounding gender is fantastic, and I applaud the author.
So anything else you could suggest to help? George, thank you.
Maybe just look at the shadows. If the shadows were more consistent from the same direction, then it'll help bring those elements together.
Excellent, thank you. Silver distinction's a great score, so well done. Next print, please. This print scores an 82 as a silver award. Dean, here's your chance, boy.
Awesome. Very well deserving. That was really good work, judges. Look, there's a couple of things that really could push this further for sure. The Holy Bible on the right-hand side is out of focus. Like, we've got this, what looks like it should be an even focal plane with the Quran in our subject. Also, there's just this maybe a level of contrast that's been pushed a bit too high. I think it's real. It's really affecting the left-hand edge where the background has been completely sort of disappeared. So obviously the way that it's lit would mean that it would be darker on that side, and that's fine, but it just sort of goes away to nothing. So maybe turning the contrast down a little bit, getting that Bible sharp, and yeah, it would sit even more comfortably and safe in the silver range, potentially further than that. So well done.
Excellent, Dean. Thank you for the comment. Karen would like to make a comment.
I actually really enjoyed this image, the story, the weathered fabric and whatnot, but the baby's eyelashes are not quite in focus. To me, they're not quite sharp enough. So it was just a little bit soft in the face.
Thank you, Karen. Next print, please.
Orientation, guys. Bring it back.
Thank you, Kate, for watching that.
Be right in the nuts.
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a 79 average, which is a high professional practice. And you can tell that there's very consistent judging across the board, but everyone has spent a lot of time looking at this. So there's a bit of a story in here. Dean, would you like to speak for the print, please?
This was frustrating, I think, because there's a really good effort gone into giving us a bit of a story. The paper, and there's like Irish prayers or something like that. Is that right? Something like that. I think, I don't know, but there's maybe we could have been helped out a little bit there with putting the place in here. So it's obviously something I assume that's important to the family. So there's something there, but the direction of the lighting and the harshness of that, it just is painfully not as delicately handled as what it could be. So perhaps if you had an opportunity to reshoot something like this, changing the angle of the lighting so it's more flattering and the shadows on our baby's face aren't so heavy, and perhaps rethinking the surface that then everything's lying on. So this speckly kind of thing in the background was maybe meant something, but I didn't sit with me. So yeah, congratulations for getting so close, and keep pushing yourself. You're doing good stuff.
Great comment. Thank you. Next print, please. Print scores 83. It's a silver award. Victoria, do you have something you can speak for?
I found this image hard to judge on a personal level. I think to elevate this print, probably just manage the bright part of the bottom, the wrap, just because that is drawing my eye down and away. And perhaps maybe I am distracted by the top of the image as well. Has anyone got anything more constructive?
Dean? No, that's
Just to elaborate a little bit, perhaps the fabric choice on the baby, if that was the same tone as the background and the one below, would make it less distracting. And the distraction at the top, I think, is caused by how much darkness there is around there. So, darkness is a part of this journey, right? But we're flooded with this beautiful, warm, natural light and the future of hope, which is fantastic. We're all sitting here going, I hope they're doing well now. So well done for storytelling. And just overall brightness, I think this is one of those that under lights looks quite bright. Again, congratulations.
Thank you, both of you. Great comment. Before we go again, Karen, can I swap you out for David? And we'll have a next print, please. Leave David alone. And a super terrific big thanks for KL being our sponsor for this newborn category here at the South Australian, Northern Territory and Tasmanian Professional Photography Awards. KL are also distributors of Epson, who are our grand sponsor, with Bruce being here from Epson. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, KL. Thank you, everybody. Well, this print scores a silver at 80. Dean, you're on the money. How about giving us a...
Yeah, for sure. Obvious story, here's our rainbow baby, I think. We've had a few failed pregnancies maybe in the pregnancy test. But look, in terms of... So the story's there. I like that. It's a story we're familiar with, but it's been presented in a nice award-winning way here, which is cool. I think we've lit the baby from underneath a little bit here, which is contrary to... common practice and what is normally flattering to come from a little bit above. There's also a real fall off in light because of that. So if we were to maybe lift the light in this scenario, which I'm assuming you've got control of, up a little bit higher and around from the top a little bit more, it would perhaps give us something that's more appealing. The elements in the top are all out of focus again though, so whether that's a depth of field thing and this is a single capture, I don't know, maybe you could try and get some more sharpness through all of that, David.
Excellent. David, you'd like to add to that?
Just a quick add-on to that. It's a lovely little story, and with a story of this particular little pot of gold at the bottom of the rainbow, I would immensely think of the rainbow as coming down towards the child. So if there's a way of just revisiting this entire story and keep working with it, I think it's a lovely idea.
Thanks, David. Good point. Next print, please. Yes, there we go. We have a 78 average. Very consistent judging there. I think we should hear from Simone.
Yeah, when this came around, I really loved the graphical nature of it. Sorry, Robin. I like the graphic nature of it. And
Geometric?
yeah.
Grid-like?
And I wanted to believe it was twins, and I think, reading that it's not, that it's the same baby flipped, I really then couldn't get the actual story behind it. And while it's quite nicely done and beautiful professional practice, I really wanted to know why the flip, and so that's where the disconnect came. So high professional practice, but not necessarily merit level.
Thank you, Simone. Can we have our next print, please? Also wanted to do a shout out and a thank you to the managers of the volunteers, Kate Ellison, Dinah Fernie. That is just wonderful work. And someone who we forget to thank, who's buzzing around, is Helen Roberts. I know she's volunteering right now, but she's been doing everything. She's been doing a great job. And I reckon we've got some cake up front here too, don't we? We have. There's some. I can see the cake. I can feel it. I can feel it's in the room. No, not at all. Haven't got my cup of tea, so that's the point. Oh my God, someone bought me cake. Thank you. So this print scores an 83 and is a silver award. I'd like to hear from David Hattie on this one. You're on the money. He's about to get cake, sorry.
I almost got food, but Paul came to my rescue. It's a lovely image. I love the form and texture and the shape. The whole layout is lovely. When looking at the little baby, it seems to be slightly lacking contrast, or something in the shadows is going on. Just that's where our particular focus is leading, and that's where it just came apart just a little bit for me. So perhaps you can rework that to bring it up even higher, but it's a beautiful image.
Thank you, David. 83 is a great score as a silver award, so congratulations. Can we have our next print, please? This print scores 79, which is the very, very top of professional practice. I think we should hear from George. Have you got a comment for the photographer? Oh, I know you're getting excited.
Yeah,
Dean.
beautiful shot. Just so close. I think just a bit more attention to the lighting, a bit bright and hot on the left-hand side, and posing of the child's hand. It's a bit too clawed for my liking. Just flattening that and softening that hand would help bring this up to award level.
Thank you, George. Before we go to... No, we're going to do it. We're just going to go to the next print. I'm just going to do it. Did you want to make a comment?
Only briefly, just about the crop. We don't need that space on the right-hand side. It says no purpose, and it's just waste of real estate. Like, yeah, doesn't need to be there.
Thanks, Dean. No, that really was helpful. That wasn't sarcastic what I said. That was very helpful. Thank you. Next print, please. Mandy, that cake's a killer. Thank you. No, good killer. Like killer, man. Fully.
Yeah.
It's woke. Woke. That's the new term the youth use. Yeah. Ask them how they go.
know what work means.
Doesn't it? Damn it. Again. This print scores a 75, right smack bang in the middle of professional practice. David, whilst you've got a microphone in your hand, how would you like to say something?
Oh, how amazing.
And cake in the other.
And cake in the other. I'll use the microphone first. It's a lovely image of the family. You've got great connection between the family and the subjects, which is lovely. I would concentrate on the lighting to bring this up further. We've got very deep shadows and darkness into the parents and mum in particular, and the background's very bright, and you've got the left-hand side. So you could even look at the same image and in post techniques and bring them up and reduce the backgrounds, and you'd have a different image. So play around with it. It's going places. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Well said. Can we have our next print, please? All right, this print scores 79, and on average, top of professional practice. Can I get a comment from Simone? Would like to make a comment, please.
Pictorially, this is really lovely. I think the concept's fantastic. And I love the world map that's sort of subtle and doesn't leap out at you. I think that's really clever. Where I feel it didn't get into the merit level is the colour of the baby. The tones were wrong. There's some green in the shadows, and it just didn't gel properly. So perhaps work on that, and I think you'd do better.
Thank you so much. Okay, before we go on to the next print, Simone, can I do a swap out with Kate, whose mouth is full of cake? Cake Ellis? Yes, I did. Next print, please. Okay, we've got a 77 for this print. Can I ask for a comment from George? Oh, hang on, Dean's got his microphone.
Always will. George can.
I like hearing
Thanks,
from
Dean.
George.
I think this is definitely a strong image, high professional standard. The lighting was quite harsh and bright under these lights, so maybe revisiting the lighting and the highlights. Anything else, Dean?
I suppose for me, when we're looking at a series of images like this, I always want it to go somewhere, and I think that this is just 4 nice captures together. So there's definitely professional practices where it ended up, and that's a compliment. So that's really good. So it should. But you just sort of want these stories to have a start, middle, and end, or be rather than just be 4 different captures. So I didn't get that sequence in there ending in a really great thing. Yes, eyes open, bit of connection there, but not really resolved. For me, it looks like hands are coming out. If hands were like all the way out, winner, winner, that would be a...
Victoria.
Yeah, just one more thing. When you are doing a series, make sure that the lighting is the same on every image.
Well said. Thank you so much. Victoria, whilst you're putting your microphone down, can I ask you to swap out for Karen? Thank you. And we'll have our next print, please. This has got a silver award on 82. Kate, do you have a comment for the photographer?
I do. This is really beautiful. The tonal range is gorgeous lighting, really lovely, but we are starting to see this sort of concept come through a little bit more. For me, that's what held it back.
Thanks, Kate. Next print, please. We also need to thank Centre for Creative Photography, who are sponsors of the Emerging Photographer of the Year. And the Emerging Photographer of the Year could be from any category, so that's why we bring them up. Also, Kodak for Student Photographer of the Year. Again, same concept. There could be student work you're looking at here on the walls or on the stream that's being judged. It gets judged with traditional professional work, and sometimes they do better than professional photographers, which is really cool. Mix it up. Well, it shouldn't be embarrassing. See, the judges are struggling over this one. That's why the silence is great to see. Wow, some cool scores. This score's an 84 straight away out the gate. So is everyone happy? No, we got... Yes, thank you. Okay, George is going to challenge that. On 90, George, 90. Gold boy.
From 88?
From 84.
84.
How's that for a spread?
Guys, this is such a stunning shot, and something that I haven't seen before. Just the story draws you in from far away, and as you go up closer to it, it brought me to the movie. What's that? The movie Black. What's that Marvel movie that just Black Panther? Yeah. It's like the birth of Black Panther. There's an amazing story, and as I got closer, I was looking for something that bring me up to that gold standard. And it was the paint on the baby's arm, and that just gave you that tribal element. The positioning of the baby's right hand on its heart. For me, this is an exceptional image and deserving of a gold.
Lovely. Well, I think we need to hear from David. Surprise. I'm sorry, David.
That's okay. Not surprised. The other end, I was looking at it and really wanting to love this, and I couldn't bring myself up there at first, so I'll keep looking at it and I'll listen to other judges. I'm not against the very dark and deep and thoughtful images like this, but I found there was just a lack of information in the blacks. It was very, very low tones going to nothing rather than just some sort of information in there. It was going to a little bit blurry in the back left of the surround of the baby. I noticed the paint, and I love my esteemed colleague George's Black Panther comment. That's very cool. But yes, I need to be convinced further. I can bring it up into a little bit more, but I can't see it as being a gold. I just can't see enough information in there to warrant that extra level of technique and that extra piece of imagination to bring it up there.
Okay, now, who's going to help this? You can talk, Kate. This is gold. Everyone can talk. I can even talk. Well, I can't really.
Beautiful. This is just, we need to commend the author for not only the ability to print those blacks, and yes, there's detail missing, but you've got to look further into that story. This is a little dewdrop floating on a lily pad, and even down to what would technically be a fault. The little toes have these little bright spots on them, which would otherwise make me go, ooh, but they're more little dewdrops. And it's not paint on the left arm, it's flaky skin from being a brand new baby and having that first layer of skin start to float off. Everything from George's comments on the Black Panther, this should be even higher than what I scored it. I think this is absolutely beautiful. For originality, I've not seen anything like that before. It's just beautifully crafted. And so elegantly simple. I just think it needs to be rewarded. I can't fault it, except for that tiny little losing the blacks where baby melds into the lily pad. But even that is part of this beautiful story. It's got to go up, guys.
Okay, I think Karen should have a quick word, and I'll give it to you, Dean, after this. I know.
I'm actually really enjoying the discussion. I've taken on board what Kate and George have said, and I do love the story. I think that there are some beautiful detail, and there is some beautiful detail in there with the flaky skin, and seems to be quite in focus. But you can call it paint if you like. But for me, I just needed just a little bit more light on it, and it was the detail within the bowl or the lily pad where the baby did blend in a little bit too much, was just a bit too much detail lost for me.
All right, Dean, your turn.
I have nothing groundbreaking to share, but
come on, break our ground.
I thought it was paint too, and I didn't get why. And I'm like, because when I first came up, I'm like, oh, this is really different. This has got me excited. This is really cool. But I didn't get the why. I like the flaky skin bit. I reckon that's where my score's going up because of that. In terms of the detail, that's the thing that kept me sort of right down. I suppose. And that's all fixable, so that's really good for the future of this print. In terms of the now, I reckon, in terms of a little bit more specific constructive criticism there, it's the bit on the left, the bottom, where there's sort of almost no detail in the rim of this vessel. So we've got lots of beautiful detail top, right and bottom, and there's just none on the left. So that would really help hold it in terms of giving this print another crack at national level. But my score is more than happy to come up, definitely. I'm still not there on a gold, though, George, so looking forward. Oh, yeah, you get to say again.
No, you're right. George, bring it home.
Guys, this is a beautiful, beautiful concept. The way they've positioned the barb, the narrative, the story. For me, it's a real heart image, one that touches you. So there's for an image to really communicate that and touch you to the point where you want to reward it and see all these stories within it. Definitely deserving of a gold. It ticks all the boxes. I see that the lack of detail and the shadow below the bulb, but that doesn't. It's only when you pointed it out that I really paid any attention to that. The rest of before you pointed it out, it was really about the baby and the feeling I got, the narrative I felt viewing it. So I implore you to come up to gold.
Lovely. Let's do a rescore. And George, you got to hold that one on 90. Enter away. Oh, 89. That's awesome. Well done. Silver distinct. That's brilliant. Congratulations. Very proud of you guys. Go team. All right. Next print, please. Okay. Thanks, Victoria. Quick judge change. All right, we have an average of 79 on this print, which is just under award, but the top of professional practice. Can I please ask Dean to have a comment, because I can see him flinching?
There's some colour cast usage or something along the bottom. I know we're looking at the baby and that's our subject, but we've got this sort of greenness down in the bottom left corner that's maybe up the top as well, and this magenta hue through the right-hand side, which is something that you could probably control a bit better. And the baby's position in the practice. Sure, I can see this hanging on the wall in their home. Absolutely. Maybe if the baby was positioned a little bit lower in the basket so as the head not to be intersecting with the surround, that would stop that sort of jarringness that I'm sort of feeling in it. And overall, again, we're quite bright on the baby under the lighting conditions that we've got here. So, so congratulations for professional practice.
Thank you. Well said. Can we have our next print, please? And just a warning with this next print, there's a little bit of damage that it's received. Please judge it as being damaged in the process and not... Need to thank Mandy again for that cake, because like I just needed the tea with it, but that's okay, it's cool. It was awesome. No, I'm okay. I'll be fine. No, I'll be fine. It's almost lunchtime. What? No, Debbie. Well, that scores a 78 spot on, and everybody was in the same ballpark, so very consistent view on this image. Can I please ask a comment from, I think we should hear from Karen on this one. What do you think could be done to bring this into the silver part?
I think for me, it's the lighting. It's just a little bit harsh. I'm assuming it's actually 3 separate babies and 3 separate pairs of hands. Sorry, my voice is... Maybe. I don't know. But the first and foremost, though, the lighting is just a little bit harsh. We miss some of the detail on the very left baby, because it's just so... it's just quite bright on the baby's face. So for me, it was just the lighting.
Okay. Does any other judges have anything to add to it?
So a way to approach that might be changing the angle of your lighting or the lighting modifier that you're using, or just using a reflector to fill in a little bit of light into some of those shadows. That would does that make sense? Yeah, so that's harshness, and that's a one way to fix it. And also the one on the left, if you lit from above, that again would be better. I know I've said similar things so far today, but you're illuminating a shoulder and the bottom of a cheek rather than the parts of a face that we want to engage with. So you're heading in a really good direction here. I think there's some really strong story on the way for the author that's done this next time they give it a crack. Great comments from the judges. Thank you. Super helpful. Now that actually happens to be the last scheduled print of Room 2 for the South Australian Professional Photography Awards, Northern Territory and Tassie.
So just before I let everybody go, Mark, can I have you around here for a sec? Let's just do a little bit of thank you. Is this all tickety-boo here? I just hit. Is it looped back again? So can I just do a quick thanks for it, because we're still up with the stream. I want to thank KL for being the category sponsor, Epson for being the award sponsors. I've got to thank our wonderful State Council for wrangling this together in a pretty scary 6 months. Well done, State Council. Martin Senior College for making this venue happen again without batting an eyelid. In fact, I'm sure he's asked if we can do it again next year here. So that's just what you want from your friends. It's wonderful. Volunteers out the back. Thank you, volunteers. Power to you. Well done. It's great judges, awesome judges, interstate judges. Thank you so much from here in Room 2. Mark for kind of wranglings together, and Simone with the council. That's wonderful. My assistant panel chair, Kelly, who's sitting here, clicking away on things. I don't know what she's clicking on, but she's doing a great job. Mandy for the cake. And if I forgot you, please forgive me. Thanks for listening.